All right, all right. Welcome to the Almighty Lair, where we talk about hot sports topics, everything from football, basketball, boxing, UFC, and the WWE. Follow and subscribe on all major platforms: YouTube, Twitter X, TikTok, Instagram, and even Snapchat. All at the Almighty Lair. It's all together. I know I'm streaming on my Almighty profile on YouTube, but I did make me a profile for the Almighty Lair, and I will be putting everything on there once I get my channel, like this podcast really established. And so go ahead and add that. So when I eventually do move over there, you guys will be able to stay intact with me and keep up with all the topics and everything that I think about, game by game, and my thoughts just in general about the NFL season. Again, the Almighty Lair. Don't forget to hit notifications so you can stay up to date with all daily topics. And I'm Almighty Fenrir. Let's go ahead and dive in today's topics. Got it on here. Let me go ahead and look it up. So, what I plan on doing, like I said, there's some teams that I've already talked about, and so I won't talk about them on this video. Um, but from now on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to like watch all the games, get my thought process about each and every team. I have all my notes right here, and then what I'll do is I'll just talk all about the teams, and then once I do that, um, I'll able to have more time to like talk about individual teams, like I said. So say for instance, if your favorite teams is the 49ers or the New Orleans Saints, I'll have a folder just for them. And then I'll have things in that folder that just speak specifically about that team. But I felt that me trying to do each and every team in their own separate videos, that was just very, very long and drawn out, and I've done that for a couple of teams already. So those are the teams I will not talk about. You can already go on the channel and see that I've already talked about that team. If you don't hear me talk about them, I've already talked about them. But moving forward, I will now just get all my notes from each and every team and then talk to you guys about them, my thoughts and my analysis from what I've seen. And I will do it on one video, and then I'll be able to spend more time, talking with you guys and, opening things up with other debates and topics that I'll have, because I just feel like me trying to do one video for each team is just very, very long and drawn out. But I've also been fooling around with this, and now I can kind of share the screen and show you guys what I've been looking at and stuff like that. So let me go ahead and see if so I can like show you, sometimes what I'm looking at. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on in. Um, let's go. So the first team that I'll be talking about is the Rams and Texans. Let's go ahead and just get their stats out the way, and then I'll do my analysis. I'll do that for every team. I'll go ahead and get their stats out the way and then tell you what I've seen. So CJ Stroud, 19 for 27, 188 yards, no touchdown, one inner. Nick Chubb, 13 for 60, a 4.6 average. Receiving yards, leading receiver was Jaden Higgins for 32 yards. And defensive wise, Will Anderson had a sack, and Henry had a sack, and Follow had a sack. And then for the Rams, Matthew Stafford, 21 of 29, 245 yards, one touchdown. Kyron Williams, 18 for 66 off 3.7 average and a touchdown. Puka, 10 for 130. Devontae Adams, 4 for 51. And then the score by Davis Allen for 13 yards. Defensive wise, you got Byron Young with a sack, Jalen with a sack, Kobe Durant with the interception, and Tyler Davis with an inner. All right, so now that we got that out the way, now I can pretty much um, give you my analysis on what I thought about that game. So the notes that I have for the Texans and Rams games, um, Texans are out there hitting. Like, you can tell they are coached by a linebacker because they were out there putting D to A, man. They was out there tackling, and then it was like hard hits. You know what I'm saying? And that's usually what happens when you are coached by like a defensive guy, and more than times, a linebacker who actually played in the game. Them boys out there hitting. So, that's the first thing that I noticed out there. I'm like, dang, Texas out there they out there hitting. Devontae Adams had a scary tackle, where he gets bent almost in half. Puka out there sporting the Sub-Zero scar over his, face, whatever. He over there bloodied up and stuff. So I was out there. Wow, I'm like, oh my God, they out there hitting. So that's the first thing that I noticed. And then CJ Stroud is definitely, missing his weapons. Tank Dell still not back. Mixon not there. And say what you want about Diggs. I mean, Diggs was a weapon that he was able to utilize. And I'm going to talk about this now. And like I said, if you are a Texans fan, I will be doing more analysis, going more in depth about your team. But Nico Collins, to me, bro, is overrated. I don't know what people see in him. I think he's a good receiver. But when people out there talk about Nico Collins, I mean, from a lot of people, when I hear about people talking about Nico, y'all, the people that I hear talk about Nico, they make it seem like he's like really one of them guys. And I'm like, what am I seeing that you guys are seeing? Because what I see from Nico is he's a good receiver. He's a good hand. But the way people talk about him, I'm like, bro, he has never been that guy to me. Now, will he eventually be that guy? I don't know. We'll see. But from what I've seen, Nico is not that guy. So I don't know I don't know what y'all see in him, but I definitely do not see it out there. CJ is definitely a good quarterback, but every good quarterback needs his weapons and he needs help out there. And I just don't see it out there. It's not there for him. So he definitely struggled because there's no real weapons out there. Like I said, he's fine, but I really don't see it out there. Stafford looks good, looks very good. You can definitely see why he's one of the elites of the NFC. And he looks like he's going to be right back putting his team in contention to make the playoffs and make a deep run. Devontae Adams, like I said, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, there are two great silky route runners. It is such a luxury to have Devontae Adams. But then to have Puka out there, I mean, when I seen them running their routes, it's like a lot of times in the NFL, a lot of your routes are based upon, timing routes. Sometimes you don't get the, ability to watch people just, um, make cuts and stuff like, like you can't really, in the NFL, you can't really watch people get open. You got to just trust that they're open. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of stuff is just, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm letting it go. Now you got to win and you got to catch the ball. You know what I'm saying? So to have two receivers who are elite especially at that particular thing, man, I know he is so happy to have two receivers that, man, once I do my little 3-step drop, 4 or 5-step drop, I know I can let it go and my guys are going to win. They're just that good. And like I said, when I watched Devontae Adams and Puka out there, one of the first things that I seen is like, that is a luxury that I know a lot of quarterbacks in NFL are envious of, because not only do you have one good route runner, you have two at the same time. So that's what I really seen in that game. The defense is young and they're still getting after it. So that's a good thing that Stafford has. He has a lot of young talent around him. Like, of course, him being the older guy, and he's seen every defense thrown at him. He's seen every defensive personnel. So nothing out there like is new to him. But to have the young guys that can actually make plays and and defense and stuff like that, like that's a very, very good thing to have for the older quarterback is young guys who actually get it. You know what I'm saying? Like those are like, of course, you want teams that can go together, but when you are a older quarterback, you can't be taking all these hits, and you have to have wide receivers who get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the receivers just get it over there. And like I said, defense is young, but they got after it. So good win by the Rams. And like I said, from what I've seen is Stafford and the Rams, they're going to be right there when it's all said and done all over again. Let's go to our next team. So we got the Lions and Packers. That was my next team that I watched. Packers win this game 13-27. Let's see. Jared Goff, 31 for 39, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. David Montgomery, 11 carries for 25 yards, 2.3 average. Gibbs, 9 carries, 19 yards, 2.1 average. Sam Laporta was a leading receiver, 6 catches, 79 yards. Amon St. Brown, 4 catches, 45 yards. And then let's see, any inners, no sacks, no. And then on the Packers side, you have Jordan Love, 16 for 22, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, no inners. Josh Jacobs, leading rusher, 19 carries for 66 yards, 3.5 average, and a touchdown. Romeo Dobbs leads the receivers with 2 catches, 68 yards. Jaden Reed, 3 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. And then Tucker Kraft also hauls in a touchdown for 2 catches and 16 yards. Defensive wise, Rashad Gary gets to the quarterback twice with 1.5 sacks. Lucas Van Ness also has half a sack. Watt has a sack. Evan Williams has an interception, and Micah Parsons, of course, gets the sack in his first sack as the Packer. So let's see. All right. So Karen Williams is nice. I thought I actually did I say not to say Karen Williams stats? Let's see. Oh, Karen Williams I talked about last game. Karen Williams is nice. Yeah, like I said, the young talent that they have, good for Karen. Yeah. Karen, the young talent that they have with the Rams is really good for Stafford, especially at this point in time in his age. To have that young talent that just gets it. It's a luxury for him to have a lot of young players around him. The Lions and Packers, the takeaways that I got was Jordan Love is surgical. He's out there placing the ball where he needs to. The game looked like it has slowed down for him. And looks like, and like I said, this is week 1, but it looks like he's having fun out there. He's placing the ball where he needs to, dotting it up. And that's what you want to see with your quarterback out there, especially one of your younger quarterbacks. You want to see him, settle into the game and, be a point guard, put the ball where it needs to be. And I thought that Jordan Love looked really good. And like I said, this is against the Detroit Lions. They had a very, very good defense last year. And so this wasn't like, some bad defense that he was going against. It's a very good defense, especially from last year. It's a good defense. And for him to throw the ball with such precision, I thought was really good, a good look for him, especially in week one where a lot of teams start off slow. So for him, he looked really surgical to me. Defense looks good. Micah is everywhere. From what I seen, Micah lined up at linebacker, he lined up at DN, and he lined up at D tackle even, which was crazy. Like, and I guess they just want to get him out there, right now. But he was everywhere, and that's good, especially when you get a new piece out there and he probably doesn't know all the plays and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, at the end of the day, rushing the passer is rushing the passer, but they might do little stunts here and there, and they've already had people that was already established at that position, and so you're slowly trying to integrate him. You know what I'm saying? So I thought getting him in there whenever you could was pretty good. Micah looks re-energized because that lone sack that he had when Goff was running away, I mean, that man looked like his head was on fire. Like the way he was over there fighting and getting around people, and then like he was like for him to even get that sack, he had to do a lot of work, and then he had to chase him down. You know what I'm saying? So when you're wanted, and that's in life in itself, when you're wanted, you play better, you act better, you work harder. Like when you're wanted, that changes your whole attitude versus when you're not wanted. You're kind of going through the motions. But when he was out there and he was playing like he had something to prove, and he did really well, especially week one. Again, he's not going against no trash team and no trash offense. He went against Penei Sewell, who's one of the best tackles in the game. And of course, it did seem like he was pretty much nullified through the whole game. Even though he did his part and um, was putting pressure in. He only had one sack and it was off a chase down and stuff like that. So I mean that's nitpicking at the end of the day, but I think that Michael Parsons is a very, very good addition to this team, and this team actually looks pretty good. Like I said, I put on here looks to definitely being paid for top NFC team, and that's a given. When you already had that young nucleus of a team, and then you had you had a good defense with them last year. Then you add in a player like Michael Parsons, and one thing about even though they gave away Jair Alexander, when you have a dominant pass rusher that gets the ball out of the quarterback's hands faster, which means that a lot of times these are going to be throws that shouldn't have been thrown anyway. But because the pressure's on him, he has to let it go. That means more interceptions for your cornerbacks. So even though they really don't have an elite corner anymore now that Jair is not there, because you have an elite pass rusher that will get the ball out of the quarterback's hands faster. For the Lions side, new offensive coordinator, no offense. I know for a fact that they lost their offensive coordinator. I believe they had a new offensive coordinator, and people were saying, "Well, is this going to be the?" I know the Lions did well last year. Like, are they going to, because they have a new offensive coordinator? Are they going to be the same Lions? And a lot of people are like, "Oh no, they got the same players. It's fine. They'll be good." As I said, man, the stats don't lie, and the run game was not there. Which is weird that you know you gave away Clark, who was supposed to help the Dallas Cowboys in their run game, and then you sub him out with Parsons, who was supposedly bad at the run game, and then you go against a very, very good O-line in the Lions, and they stop Sonic and Knuckles. The run game was not there, so it's just odd that you know you give away a run stopper and Clark and get a guy who most people believe was not really good against the run, and what they were able to do against the run was pretty impressive, especially that team being the Detroit Lions. So And then the defense. What happened? Like the defense out there just did not look good for the Lions, and this was a defense that had, multiple Pro Bowlers. Aiden Hutchinson is back, and it just looked like the Packers were just playing pitch and catch out there. Honestly, like it did not look like they had a hard time at all. So for the for the Packers, it just really looked like it was 7-on-7. Honestly, it didn't look like I really didn't see too much pressure, and it's just odd because out of the many balance, no, not out of the many, but out of the some of the balanced teams in NFL, um, uh, you know the Ravens, and then you got the um, Eagles. I would put Detroit on there where it's like a very balanced offense. They can run, they can pass, and then they got good defense. I will call them one of the more complete teams in the NFL. And the way that they laid an egg out there, it was like, what? Like, are the Packers that much better, or you know? Is the offense really going to be like, of course, this is week one. So, teams may get better. But but just judging off week one, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the game should have, the game did not feel close at all. This game felt really, really out of hand. And it did, like I said, it felt like the Packers just kind of did what they wanted to, honestly. So, again, good game for the Packers, and that team looks like they're gonna do some damage in the playoffs. Let's see, what's our next team? Looks like our next team is the 49ers. 49ers and the Seahawks. 49ers win 17-13. Brock Purdy, 26 for 35, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 inners. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries for 69 yards off 3.1 average. Brian Robinson, 9 carries, 33 yards off 3.7. Neither one had a rushing touchdown. Ricky Pearsall had 4 catches, 103, 27 average. Christian McCaffrey, 9 receptions, 73 yards. Kyle Juszczyk, 2 for 32. George Kittle, 4 for 25. And a touchdown as well. And Jake Tongs had a touchdown. Bosa has a sack. And I'll talk about that in a bit. And that's pretty much it. Fred Warner, looked like he had 8 total tackles that game. And Seahawks, Sam Darnold, all for 16 for 23, all for 150 yards in the game. Their leading rusher was Zach with 47 yards and a touchdown off 3.9 average. Kenneth Walker, 10 for 22 yards. Jackson Smith and Njigba, 9 for 24, 124. Cooper Kupp, 2 for 15. And then Julian Love had a sack. Ernest Jones had an interception. Josh Jobe had an interception. And so let's talk about my takes on that game. You said I'd argue sometimes it takes a little time to work out the kinks for the Lions. Well, yeah, again, all my stuff, who's to say will the teams continue to be like this through the regular, through the whole season? Because a lot of times, some teams start slow, you know what I'm saying? But this is just my analysis from week one. I can't stress that enough. Again, I know for a fact I've been watching football enough to know that, guess what? One team that might be sucking in the first half of the season turns it on at the end. And there are some teams who start off hot and then they cool down. And you're like, what happened? So this thing could change anytime. It could change next week. You know what I'm saying? But we're just going off this week. Obviously, Brock went off. Well, we'll see what I wrote down. So, what my takeaways from this game was, from the 49ers first, the kicker sucks. I did hear that he got fired. So I'm not I'll never sit here as a man and say that somebody deserves to get fired unless you're just, outrageously a rude person, or you do something like, very, very outrageous and, hurt somebody. And then I'll be like, okay, that person needs to lose their job. But, I know at the end of the day, people need, money to support their families and stuff like that. So I'll never sit here and say, man, fire that guy. Not yet. I'll get to that later. But as far as him, I could see why they let him go. He did not help the team at all. He missed a couple kicks. And like I said, one of the most telling thing from this week was just the missed kicks. I think I have it on the title. The kicking game was horrible around the league, which is crazy. A lot, and it's crazy because back in the day when I was watching football, especially 20 yards in and field and extra points, they were almost gimmies. You know what I'm saying? Outside of like some really, really bad weather, 20 yards in, almost like even 30 yards in sometimes. They were like gimmies. Like you kind of just like, okay, they're gonna get it. But they didn't push the ball back from extra points now. And I don't know, like across the league, kicking was terrible. So even though he's not the only kicker that missed kicks this week, if you are a part of this 49ers franchise, you definitely seen that you guys left points on the board because the kicker definitely left points on the board. Another thing that I watched from the Niners standpoint is Purdy is average. He threw into triple coverage, and a lot of times he was just throwing the ball up. I know that one um, touchdown he hit the tight end in the corner. I was just like, he threw that into double coverage. Like, what did you like? He threw that into double, almost triple coverage, and the guy just happened to come down with the ball. So that's not an ideal throw. I would not want my quarterback to throw that pass a lot of times. Moody did a lot of that last year as well. He probably did. But and this is kind of taken away. And you know what? Honestly, a lot of quarterbacks are just they're gonna fail this year because you've overpaid for quarterbacks who did not deserve who did not deserve certain compensation. And when you overpay for them, now you have less money to go to places where you actually need it at. So if you look at that Niners team, it's almost night and day what they used to be just a couple years ago. You sat there with Debo and Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle, and then then even before that you had Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, and you had Mostert and Breida. It's like they had an offense where it's like, man, like they had a very, very unique offense. Like there's not too many teams that I've seen running the style of offense where it's like they had a lot of short to intermediate passes, but it's like a lot of smash mouth as well. And it was like, if you are a Niner fan, I'm pretty sure you was happy to see what your offense looked like even just a couple years ago. And then I watched it today. It's like, have you ever went to school when you was younger and then it was like a rainy day and it's like really gloomy and you look outside and it's just like, ugh, today's ugly. Like, I don't know if it was just the Seattle Seahawks, the way it looks out there, but when I looked at that offense, it was pretty much uninspiring. Like, I didn't see anything in that offense that made me go, damn, we got to go against the Niners, because that was the attitude like a couple years ago. When you went against the Niners, you did not want to go against the Niners because they were going to beat you up. Of course, Trent Williams is a slightly younger man's old as dirt now, but it's like he would push you into the dirt. Kittle's pushing you into the dirt. Debo's pushing you into the dirt. Ayuk will sometimes push you in the dirt. Then he'll go vertical. And it's like you had Breida, and then you had Mostert, and then you got Christian McCaffrey. It's like they had such a unique offense that now you go out there and you look, you got I'm sorry if you're a Niners fan, but now you're going out there with older Trent Williams. Looks like no one in sight that's gonna like be his heir because they have not drafted well at the O line position. Christian McCaffrey can't stay off the IR. Kittle can't stay off the IR. Your best receiver right now is a second-year receiver in Pearsall. The second wide receiver is Jennings. They just got born. Cool, but it's like, my God, when you look at that offense, it's not a scary offense to me anymore. When I used to watch the Niners, you were looking towards a show because you already know Debo's going to get some type of bubble screen and he's going to run you over for like 50 yards, or they're going to hit Ayuk on some pretty post play or something like that, or it was just a very, very entertaining type of football that it reminded me of old school football when I would watch, like, the San Diego Chargers were like, Antonio Gates and LaDainian Tomlinson, or, it reminded me of like some old school football, which is like that old school smash mouth football that we have lacked in this new day and age because everything is very vertical. This is a type of offense that wasn't very vertical, but they would smash mouth you, and it was a very productive offense. And now that you watch football, I don't care if you're a Niner fan, you have to at least admit that your offense does not look the same. Your offense, it just doesn't. It does not look the same. And it's very uninspiring because when you go out there and you go watch the Niners, your best players are either old or injury ridden. Let's just keep it a buck. Ayuk, injury prone. Well, not injury prone, but he just got injured and he's recovering. So that's one of your best receiver, probably. Kittle, injury prone. McCaffrey, injury prone. So you lose those guys, then what? You're looking at a top 10 pick in the draft next year, And it's just very uninspiring football that I see right now. The only thing that they really got going for them right now, I feel, is Warner is really like, he's really that defense. He's really that linebacker. He's really that guy. Why don't you keep Debo? That is a question that you're gonna have to ask the Niners, because I would have kept him, honestly. Because honestly, he was the identity. Like, it's a difference between saying you're the best player on the team versus you were the identity of the team. And I think Debo was the identity of the team, because even when they walked out, he came out there with the boom box and he was the guy in front, like leading the team. He was setting the tone. Him and Trent Williams were the first guys you seen walking out the tunnel because they were setting an identity for the team. And now that you don't have that, what's the identity of this team? What is the identity of the team now? It's not smash mouth. It definitely isn't. So what's the identity? It's not vertical. You don't even have the quarterback to throw vertical. You definitely don't have the pieces. So what is the identity of this team? It's not smash mouth and it's not vertical. What is the identity of this team? So that's the one thing that I've noticed. And the last thing about the Niners that I seen is Nick Bosa did not get that sack. They tried to make it seem like that guy got the sack. He did not. I watched the replays. The quarterback, Sam Darnold, tried to throw the ball, elbow, whatever, gets hit by his own lineman, fumbles the ball. Bosa picks it up. Everybody, so Bosa got the strip sack. I'm like, he didn't even touch him. You know what I'm saying? So whatever. Did Bosa probably cause it and was giving him pressure and stuff? I'll give you that. But the actual sack, that was caused by Sam Darnold's own teammate. Going towards the Seahawks, it was called by the Bush Road. It was, but at the end of the day, he didn't even touch him. So I didn't know pushing somebody into somebody gives you the sack. I didn't know that. If that is now the thing, then okay. But me personally, even if I push you into the guy, and I didn't know I get credit for the sack because I never touched you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Sam Darnold, average at best. And obviously the Vikings seen something that we didn't, because a lot of people seen Sam Darnold and what he did with the Vikings last year. And a lot of people said, oh yeah, keep him at least for a year, blah, 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 blah. And come to find out, they let him go. And Sam Darnold has reverted back to his old ways. He had one good year, and people were saying, oh no, I guess he's really good. You know, you got the Geno Smith effect. You know what I'm saying? You know, give him a new team, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He could actually be somebody. Nope. 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 He is the same guy you thought he was. He threw for 150 yards total. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, he had 124. That means that man, for the whole game, threw about 30 yards to somebody else. So you really was just out here like, Hike, you. Like, what happened spreading the ball around? I mean, I get it. That's your best player, maybe. But what happened? And then you got Cooper Kupp, who's a route runner's machine. You didn't utilize him at all. So either, you know, Cooper Kupp just fell off a cliff. I don't understand why he was not used, and he was not in he was not involved in the offense like he should have been. Like, I don't understand why you have a route runner like Cooper Kupp and he's not being used to his best abilities. I don't understand. What's wrong with the what's wrong with the O coordinator? There was no, when I watched that game, it literally was like I was playing Madden and I was just trying to spam the same play and the same player. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, there was like that offensive coordinator game. It felt like he just was like, all right, so we gonna hike the ball. Like, it felt like he was playing Madden and he just found a play that he just kills it on Madden and just said, we're gonna run that in real life. Because honestly, I was waiting, like, where's Milroe? How come Milroe does not have a package? And it's slowly being integrated, because clearly if you watch that game, Sam Darnold's not the answer. So why are you not, especially, and we are in a more hybrid type of game now where the quarterback has to be able to move, and we are in an RPO, you know, QB wrap, option type offense in NFL now. Milroe is perfect for that. I'm not saying he's a better thrower of the ball. What I'm also saying is that when you put a guy in the game and you let it get his feet wet and you put an offense around him, that will free up everybody else. That's the one thing that you can say about quarterbacks who are very mobile, i.e. Lamar Jackson, i.e., you know, who else is really, can't really think of something right now. Who else? Hold on real quick. Because that's the one thing that I know, that when Lamar Jackson throws the ball, it's not like these guys are just like super covered, and it's not like they're getting double teamed. It's because your quarterback is so athletic. They have to put a spy in there. They have to put an extra man in there. So a lot of times when you watch receiver, even Tim Tebow, when he played, the receivers are getting single covered because he's so good at running the ball that that you're spending more time trying to contain him, that a lot of times your receivers get to go through the cracks. Cam Newton, RG3, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields just had a great game. Jaden Daniels, like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are very, very fast and use their legs well, that because they're good with their legs, you have to pay attention to them. You have to sometimes bring an extra defender in. Sometimes you have to do that. So guess what? Your receivers are able to get behind them, and you can expose them, play action, RPO, all that type of stuff. And I think that a quarterback like Jalen Monroe, you can do that. That will free up Cooper Kupp. That will free up your other receivers. That will even make your running back more deadly, because when you do option routes, when you are a quarterback handing the ball off in shotgun, the D linemen are going to automatically key the running back because they know you're not going to keep it. Because even if you do keep it, they know they'll catch up to you because you're not going to run nowhere. But the reason why, when people were salivating at the mouth at the thought that when Derrick Henry was a free agent and the Ravens had got rid of Ingram and Dobbins and stuff like that, they were like, man, could you imagine Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield? That RPO is gonna go crazy. Because when Lamar Jackson would do the play action or fake hand the ball off or RPO, whatever, the reason why it was used so good is because if he kept the ball, of course he's gonna go crazy. But if you key him, the running back goes out there. And say what you want against Tim Tebow, I think Tim Tebow would have been good in this era, but that's another conversation. But the reason why Tim Tebow, when he played for the Denver Broncos and they had the top running offense in football, is because when he holds that ball out, you gotta wait. You got the D linemen are gonna sit, especially the ends, the rushers. They're gonna sit because they don't know if Tebow's getting the ball or the running back's getting the ball. That split second of them sitting is able for the running back to get more yardage versus if the line was already penetrating because they already know that he's getting the ball. He gets an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 yards that he wouldn't have got if it was a quarterback that they didn't have to respect back there. So same thing with Lamar Jackson when he first came in, and they put a package for him with Flacco there. You put a package in there, let him get in there, let him get his feet wet, and then, you know what I'm saying, slowly integrate him in the offense. Then next year, he has already plays that he knows to run, and then everything is predicated off him. That's the reason why Lamar Jackson is so good, is because the offense is tailor-made to him. But then that's also the reason why you don't need elite wide receivers with these guys, because he's so deadly in the backfield that a lot of receivers are not going to be single. They're not going to be double. It's just one-on-one. So that's why you get a guy like Zay Flowers, who I'm not saying is trash, but he's not on a lot of people's top 10s and 15s. But the reason why he's so good is because a lot of times he's not seeing double coverage. Even though he's the number one receiver on the team, he's not being double coverage because they have to worry about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So he's able to do his thing. Same thing. What I feel like if you had Monroe back there, if you had Monroe out there, you do some quarterback design runs, you throw in some RPOs, play action is going to be deadly now, and you now have to bring an extra guy to sit in the box and watch Monroe. That opens the game up for Walker. That opens the game up for the running game, and it opens it up for people like Cooper Kupp, like Jackson. So I just think that the offensive coordinator was very, very bland, and I think that the offensive game plan was just very, very vanilla, and that's the reason why it just looks so like stale out there. It looks very, very stale out there. The next game is the Raiders and the Patriots. I did the Broncos and Titans already, so you can go check in one of the videos that I just put out, and you can get my analysis on them. I did Titans and Broncos already. So Raiders win 20-13. Raiders, Geno Smith, 24 for 34, 362 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Eshawn Genty, 19 carries, 38 yards, 2 yard average, a touchdown. Brock Bowers, 5 catches, 103, 20 yards per catch. Jacoby Myers, 8 for 97. Trey Tucker, 2 for 54 and a touchdown. And then Deontay Thornton Jr., 2 for 45. Michael Meyer, 4 for 38. Defensive wise, Isaiah had an interception. Tyree Wilson had a sack, and Jonah had a sack. And it looks like Malcolm had a sack as well, and Max Crosby as well. That is for the Raiders. For the Patriots, Drake May, 30 for 46, 287, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Trayon Henderson, 5 for 26, is the leading carrier on your team. 5.4 average, though. Ramondre Stevenson, 7 for 15, 2.1. Kayshawn Booty, 6 for 103. Hunter Henry, 4 for 66. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 57. And on defense, Jalen Hawkins, 1 inner, 1 sack. Landry, 2.5 sacks. And Kevon Chasen had half a sack as well. All right. So my immediate thought process for this game is Geno solidifies the Raiders. He solidifies them. One thing about Geno is that what he does not get a lot of credit for is that he's a quarterback that could come in and make your offense good because he plays within himself. He's not trying to do too much. He takes what the defense gives him. And I think that's one thing about Geno's game that I can really respect is that he's not going to lose you the game. People think that a QB manager is such a bad name, but I don't think it is. Of course, you have the elite guys, who can do it all and you win because of them. And then you have the guys who just manage the game. And that's not a bad term. It just means that you do not mess up the team. You come in, you do your job, and you take what's given. To me, I feel like Tom Brady is the ultimate game manager. I don't think that he had like some special crazy arm talent or anything to just take games over. But Tom Brady would always take what you gave him, and that's what made Tom Brady great. He's the ultimate game manager. And if you think that is a bad term, then you don't know football and you don't know its real terminology. I think Geno is a good game manager, and I think he solidifies the Raiders. And that's what the Raiders need, and that's what they've needed for a long time. I think a lot of times they tried to hit the home run with quarterbacks who had good arm talent, Jamarcus Russell and Palmer, like guys who had strong arms and just good abilities, but it just never got us anywhere, and it was just if you can just solidify and okay, hey, let's just get a quarterback out here that can just get the ball out of his hands, that'll help the O-line, that'll help the running game, that'll help the overall team, that'll help the defense when the quarterback can just get the ball out of his hands and stuff like this. So I think Geno gets overlooked a lot, but I like Geno Smith's game. And I think him with the Raiders definitely just puts them on an even keel, where they're able to play some really good football in Vegas this year. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football, runs like a receiver. A lot of times when I watch Brock Bowers and you watch him, even when he's running his routes, I'm like, that's a slot receiver right there. He runs like a slot receiver. And when I say slot receiver, it's like he has so much control over his body and he runs very, very good routes. And like I said, to me, I think he's the best tight end in football. I mean, if you want to say Kittle or even Kelsey or whoever you want to say, those guys are older, and one guy's older and one guy's injury prone. I think that right now, Brock Bowers is in a league of his own. He has now taken the mantle of best tight end in football. He just looks different. He looks different out there. And I think that will help the team as well, because when you have a good tight end, you have a good security blanket that keeps you guys on the field for 3rd and 5, and 2nd and 6 or something like that. Like when you don't need to go vertical and you have that guy that is stronger than your DBs and then faster than most linebackers, that and then he has a big body where you can just throw it to him and have him wall off. I think that does the offense good. Like we've gotten so enamored with the vertical offense and the high powered offense that we forget that sometimes just moving the chains is just as good. And I think by having a solid quarterback in Geno and a good, great tight end in Brock Bowers who understands zone and understands man and understands how to get open is a good thing for a team like the Raiders, where we have, well, not we, but they've been in such the doghouse for so many years. So again, sometimes it's about creating that stability. Then you can move forward and get these players and your offense. But first, let's get some type of stability. And I think Geno and Brock brings the team stability. And last thing for the Raiders is Pete Carroll is exactly what the Raiders needed. He's exactly what they needed. Because when I watch this team on defense, it's not like they're doing any crazy stunts or any, they're playing straight up football. And I think that's a good thing about Pete Carroll is that he does not beat himself when you talk about how he coaches football. The offense is never going to wow you, and the defense is never going to wow you. Now, the hits that they may do, like Cam Chancellor, and Bobby Wagner and all those guys that would just, knock you out and stuff like that. Yeah, that's nice. But if at the end of the day, they were only in cover 1 and cover 3, like it wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't like no intricate. It's not like no intricate like back in the day Pittsburgh Steelers defense where everybody's moving and high and low and safety here and I was down and this linebacker's here and I was there. No, they just lined up and said, hey, we're playing this. And what I'm saying? It takes the thinking process out and just allows people just to play ball. And I think the thing when you have a team or a franchise who's been at the bottom for so many years, again, you want to create that stability. And Geno being that quarterback, instant stability on that offense, and then you can build around that. And again, defense stability. You know what I'm saying? You're not over here running all these crazy routes and stuff. I mean, crazy, concepts. It's a very stable. And I think that Pete Carroll was exactly what the Raiders needed. For the Patriots, Drake looks more comfortable in his second year. He definitely looks very, he looked like he has a command of the offense. And that's kind of what you want your young player to do, especially in his first, second year. You just want to see him have the command of the offense. Maybe, by year 3, 4, 5, you want to see the guy take that next step to get you into the playoffs and, et cetera, et cetera. But your first couple of years, I want you to show me that the game is not too big. I want you to show me that you could sit in the pocket and deliver the throw. We can, we'll open things up more and, get these players and stuff like that. But at least show us that the game does not seem too big. Like you've been practicing and you've been, studying and stuff like that. So like this game just when people throw stuff at you, you're not just happy feet in it and just throwing the ball anywhere. He played well. He played well, and he just looks a little bit more comfortable. So that's a good thing. It looks like the Raiders, it looks like the Patriots have their quarterback of the future. I know Matt Jones when he was playing there, a lot of times, even though he went to the Pro Bowl, one time himself, I don't know if the game looked too big, but I knew there was not real talent there. And think about it. How many times do you see an Alabama quarterback actually do well in the NFL? It very rarely happens. But seeing Drake May on that team, it looks like they have the quarterback of the future. And like I said, he looks like the game's not just too big for him. Where's the run game? Where is it? And that's just a big thing in the NFL, at least like I said, week one. Week one, I really questioned, and it's funny. I play Madden, you know, um, Madden 26, and one thing that I noticed is that it is very hard to run. I didn't play last year's Madden because I was so frustrated with Madden. I've been frustrated with Madden for a couple of years now. So I did not even buy last year's Madden, but I had the year before that Madden. So this 26, 25. So the last one I had was 24, right? And I was just so mad at what Madden has become. I did not even attempt to buy a 25. And I love football so much. I gave it a rest. I was like, you know what? All right, hopefully Madden's better this year. I come into 26, and back then it was a lot easier to run the ball than now. It is almost unless you have like a really good run, like a good running back and a good O line. It's very hard to run because I remember back in the old Maddens, of course, some if you didn't have a good running back or a good old line, it's hard to run, but you could still pop off for a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like in this Madden, it's like the running the ball in this Madden seems a lot harder than at least to me, it's a lot harder than any other Madden I've ever played. So I guess it's the truth because again, it's just week one, but it just seems like the running game was just not there in the whole NFL. There's a couple players who went off, but for the most part, the running game was not there in the NFL. It just was not. So yeah, where is the running game? And of course, when it comes to the Patriots, that's one area where they really lacked a true superstar. I mean, they've had superstar quarterbacks, they've had superstar wide receivers, they have superstar tight ends, corners, safeties, backer, D lineman. When it comes to running back, this is probably, and it's crazy because it's one of the most richest franchise as far as like playoff success and Super Bowls. But then when you look at their running backs and you try to like make an all-time team, you find yourself putting guys on the team who probably had a couple stints with like a couple year stints with them, but it's not like there wasn't like that guy who was like ingrained, like, oh yeah, he is, you know, one of the greatest Patriots running backs ever, because they just don't have it. Like they just aren't known for it, which is crazy. Because like I said, they're known for winning Super Bowls. They're known for being in the playoffs. They're known to being coached very well. But when it comes to running back for the Patriots, it's almost like they just do not exist almost. So that's one thing I don't understand. You know, Universally, just every team this year, like I said, at least in week one, the running game was just not there. And I also want to give a shout out to Jalen Hawkins and Landry. They had big games. Like I said, Landry gets to the quarterback at least 3 times in this game. Hawkins had an interception and a sack. So, kudos to those guys. But yeah, I think that the stableness of the Raiders is what really got them over um, the Patriots in this game. Next game is the Giants and the Commanders. Let's see. Giants and Commanders. Commanders win 21-6. Players stats: Russell Wilson 17 for 37, 168, no touchdowns, no inners. He's also the leading rusher on the team. 8 carries for 44 yards. Tyrone Tracy has 10 carries for 24 yards and 2.7 yards. 2.4 yards average. And then you have Malik Neighbors, 5 for 71. And then Wendell Robinson, 6 for 55. On defense, Burns has 2 sacks. Abdul Carter has half a sack, shared with Kayvon Thibodeau with half a sack. And then the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, 19 for 30, 233 in the touchdown. Ja'Cory Corsi Merritt, 10 for 82 in the touchdown. averaged about 8.2 yards a carry. Jaden also puts 11 for 68 on the ground, 6.2 average. Austin Eckler, 6 for 26. Debo Samuels, 7 for 77, average 11 carries. Chris Moore, 1 for 34. And then Austin Eckler, 3 for 31. Terry McLaurin, his first game, 2 for 27, 13.5. And then sacks by Armstrong, Deron Payne. And then Bobby Wagner has 10 sacks total. 10 tackles total. 10 sacks total would be crazy. One of the things that I put together for this one, my thoughts on this one, Russell does the best that he can with no help. That man had no help. And I know that there's some people out there that's like, oh, put Tart in, or Tart. Put Dart in. Dart ain't gonna do nothing for you, bro. Now, if you want to put him out there and see what the young guy got, cool. But he's not going to do better than what Russell Wilson did. I don't care what he did in the preseason. Because one thing about Russell Wilson is, and I think people just they give that man a hard time. A lot of people do it because they don't like him. They think he's corny and stuff like that. But I think Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. And I think that Russell Wilson is that type of quarterback. Either you like him or you hate him. Like, there's nothing in between. And I feel like he gets a bad rap. But if you want to use this as the launching pad to put out Dart, then just say you want to play Dart. Like, I would more accept that answer that, hey, I just want to see Dart play. I don't want to see versus, oh no, Russell played a bad game, and so that's why Dart should play. Dart's not going to do anything better behind this O-line, behind this very, very, very limited offense. And this offense, the line could not protect him. They have no weapons outside of Neighbors. And a running back game was non-existent. So if you're one of them people that wants Dart to play, I have no problem with that. But if you want to sit there and say, oh, well, did you see how Russell Wilson played? We got to play Dart, bro. Dart's, if you could put Dart in that same situation, he probably does worse. That O-line looked horrid. Horrid. This is the same franchise who traded away Saquon Barkley in their own division. There's nothing that Russell Wilson could have did on this offense. That offensive line is garbage. Garbage. And like I said, it's Malik Neighbors, and that's all. So if you want Tart, fine. But don't let this be the game where it's like, see, well, this is why, because this game was not on Russell Wilson's. This is not on him. This was not his fault. For the Commanders, do it all Daniels. The man's out there throwing, man's out there running. He's picking up where he left off at, trying to, get his team into the playoffs. We'll see what they do, when they get there. But the way that young man is playing, he's, like I said, he'll be in the playoffs and he'll have a good run. That man is very, very good. Only to be in his second year. Very good. Did we discuss Lamar? No, did I discuss Lamar? I think I talked. Let me see. Do I have Lamar on here? I think I already talked about Lamar on my other video because I don't think I have him on here. So yeah, Lamar's on one of my other videos. I think it was yesterday's video I talked about Lamar. And I said some things on there that might be controversial. But I'll go deeper into that when I do like a Lamar Jackson thing. But yeah, Jaden Daniels looks very, very good. Looks very, very good. Solid day for Ja'Cory. They just gave away a running back. I believe Robinson used to be the running back that's now with the 49ers. And I guess they gave him away because I guess they seen what Ja'Cory was going to be. And Ja'Cory did not disappoint because he had himself a very, very good day. And, if you have somebody in the backfield that can produce alongside you at quarterback, that alleviates some of the things um, that's less than what you're going to have to do at quarterback because you have such a good run game. And so very, very good. And I also, good complementary pieces is my next topic. Debo, Ertz had very, very, solid days. I think Debo coming in, and I think Debo is so underrated in what he brings to a team. Not only do you get to use this man like a human like switchblade, where it's like you don't know what version you're gonna get, whether you're gonna get the running back version, the slot receiver, the outside receiver. Like you don't know what you're gonna get out of him. And I believe he's the punt return, kick returner as well. But he just brings an attitude to your team that if you want to be one of the last teams standing, you have to have. And Debo definitely brings that type of attitude to the Commanders. So he's definitely a very good piece. Not only what he does on the field, but the mentality that he brings to the team as well. And I think like I said, in order to go further in NFL, and further in the playoffs, you're gonna need that type of, person on your team that will, get y'all ready to run through a wall. And he does that. Like I said, Ertz played a good game as well. Smart guy, former champion. He just knows how to play the game, So seeing how well he did also today is going to make this team, as they continue to grow, that much more deadly because you have to worry about so many different pieces. And this is a game where McLaurin didn't even go off. So imagine when he gets his feet under him and he actually does well too. It's going to be a very, very good team this year. Bucks and Falcons is the next game. Bucks and Falcons. Buccaneers win 23-20. Stats: Baker Mayfield 17 for 32, 167, 3 touchdowns, no inners. Bucky Irvin 14 for 37. Baker also puts 5 for 39 on the ground. Mika Mbuka 4 for 67, 16.8 average, 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans 5 for 51, 10.2. Sterling Shepard 3 for 39. And then Bucky 4 for 8. And he has a touchdown himself. Defensive wise, Hassan Reddick gets a sack. I think that's it for Bucks. And then for the Falcons, Michael Penix Jr., 27 for 42, 298 yards, a touchdown. Bijan Robinson, 12 for 24 off 2.0 average. But he does catch the ball 6 times for 116.7, a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, 7 for 59. Drake London, 8 for 55. Defensive wise, Billy Bowman has a half a sack along with Divine Diablo. And yeah, that is the Buccaneers and the Falcons game. And my takeaways from that game is Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. That man played very well. And I know some people might be like, oh, well, he didn't throw for that much. Again, you guys are getting like so stuck on the numbers. He didn't throw for 200 yards and he didn't throw for, the man threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's all I care. He's putting points on the board. He's putting points on the ball. points on the board and he's taking care of the ball. As long as you're doing that, you have a spot on my team. I don't care about throwing for 300 yards. I don't care. That just means that you're moving the ball. It doesn't mean that you're scoring. And guess what? You don't get points for moving the ball. You get points for scoring. And that's what that man did. And he did not turn the ball over. He looked very, very good out there. Mike Evans is all reliable. Whenever you need that first down, I know where I'm going. And that's Mike Evans, because not only is he a big body, he's just a pro. He's just a pro. And that's what I've seen out there. Mike Evans is just all reliable. He's an older guy, and every year it's 1,000 yards. The only year I think he might not get 1,000 yards, and if any year, it might be this year, and that's not a knock to him. It's because the next guy I'm about to talk about, Emeka Mbuga, is a star in the making, and I have that written down. He's a star in the making. It's crazy. Out of all the receivers we name that went to Ohio State, from Harris to Olave to Garrett Wilson, and to any other receiver you probably know in the past that has played for Ohio State, Emeka Mbuga is the one that leads them all in receptions, I believe, for yards or something like that. He's like the leader. And it's crazy, like, a lot of times he was the forgotten guy, because even though he was never the guy that really just, like, he wasn't the speedster that some of these other guys were, he ran great routes and just knew how to get open. And that is ultimately the job of your wide receivers, to get open. And you knew it was going to be that way, because in the preseason, he was getting open, and at camps they were raving about his route running and how he was getting open. So now you put him in the game, and it's like he never. It's like he knew exactly what to do, like he'd been there before. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's played football, for a long time, it's just like the game did not look too big for him. And honestly, the way that man played, he's early contention to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He looked that good. And I would not be surprised if he goes over 1,000 yards, at least 800 to 900 yards, and finishes with, 7, 8, even. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends the year with like 10 touchdowns. I wouldn't. Like, that's how good he looked. And I feel like there's not going to be too many receivers that are going to be able to stop him, because at the end of the day, as good as he is, I believe he's still only the number 2 receiver. And Mike Evans most likely is going to command the attention for the number 1 receiver. And I just don't see too many cornerback number 2 going to be able to put the clamps on Njigba and not Njigba, but Mbuga. I think that he's that good. The route running was so crisp, and I was like, man, if he keep playing the way he played, bro, he next up for real. From what I got for the Falcons is that they are competitive. One thing that you want to see in a team that picks in the top 10, or last year really didn't do that well, and the Kirk Cousins whole debacle and stuff like that, is you want them to be competitive. You know what I'm saying? You may not win every game, but if your team goes out there and you guys play to the last whistle, the wins eventually will come. Wins usually come to the hardworking teams, and the way that they were playing and they were playing hard. So even though they lost this game, there was it wasn't like they just was sitting back. Because I've seen teams who are trash, and they win about 3 games, and you just watch them, and it just looks like they're just lackadaisical. Like, when I was watching this team, they all played hard and they were competitive. So kudos if you are a Falcons fan, because watching this team play, they played with heart. Nobody quit. They played to the last whistle, and they look competitive. Bijan Robinson is Mr. Do It All. Like I said, he's a running back that can run the ball, but he can also catch as well. And though he did not run the ball very well because maybe they were keying in on him, um, he caught for 100 yards. You know what I'm saying? So he's Mr. Do Everything. The guy is electric. He's very, very good. And yeah, he's definitely one of the top running backs in football. Definitely one of the top young quarterbacks, running backs in football. But that man is I could see a lot of Pro Bowls in that man's future because he can do it all. He's very, very good. And then the last thing that I wrote in there is Penix's growth. Um, Penix being, his second year, you just want to see your quarterback take that next step. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is what I seen, like I said, at least from game one. Penix looked more comfortable than he did last year. And maybe the fact that, he doesn't have to worry about, Cousins in his shadow and that he could actually just play some ball might have done it for him. But actually watching him play, he played with so much confidence, so much poise, and that's a good thing to see in your young quarterback again. I'm not looking for the man to throw for 300 yards, and I just want you to look good, command the offense, and play like you're supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? And like that's what I seen that he did, and that's just his growth. I can tell grew from last year. Cardinals and Saints is the next game. Let's see. Okay, so the Arizona Cardinal wins 20-13. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, 21 for 29, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey Benson leads them in rushing, 8 for 69 off 8.6 average. Connor, 12 for 39, 3.2 average. Kyler runs on the ground, 7 for 38, 5.4 average. Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 for 71 and 1 touchdown. Trey McBride, 6 for 61. Tip, 1 catch, 10 yards. And defensive wise, Baron Browning has a sack. That's about it on the Cardinal side. New Orleans, 27-46 from Rattler, 214 yards, no touchdowns, no winners. Alvin Kamara, 11 for 45, 41-yard, 4.1 average on a touchdown. Spencer also put on the ground 4 for 29, 7.2. Leading receivers, Jawan Johnson, 8 for 76 off 9.5 average. Chris Olave, 7 for 54, 7.7 average. Shaheed, 6 for 33 and 5.5 average. Sacks by Pete Warner, 1.5 by Carl Ganderson, 1.5 by Cam Jordan, 1 by Alante Taylor. I think no interceptions. All right. So takeaway from this game was the I don't care bowl. I seen this game and I was like, I could care less. There are two teams who no one has any hope for. So I really didn't care. But hey, I want this to be my job. So I gotta watch it and I gotta comment on it. So it was the I don't care bowl to me. Kyler Murray was good early and then nothing. He did good in the beginning, and then as the game went along, they staggered and nothing else came from it, literally. Marvin Harrison looks good, and is this the year 2 leap? He had about 800 and some yards last year, 8 touchdowns, which is pretty solid last year. Hopefully he gets to expand on those numbers this year. But like I said, this is the I don't care bowl. Like there was like it was so bad, was like you really couldn't like what are you gonna talk about? You know what I'm saying? The game was 20-13, and most of it was just field goals. Like, so like what do you want me to say? I was really watching, I was like, I'm gonna try. Um, I wrote on here, if you are a Saints fan, I'm gonna pray for you. Rattler threw 46 times and only 214 yards. That's crazy. You threw 46 46 times and all you got was 214 yards. That's incredible. With throwing the ball 46 times, bro, you should have at least been in the 300s, bro. At least in the 300, and if not, damn close, 290, 294, something. But you should be in the 300s. You're barely over 200. So it was not a good passing day. I wrote on here, why did they go away from the run? As we've seen, Alvin Kamara was averaging 4 yards per carry. He only had 11 carries. Why are we not handing this ball off to Alvin Kamara? Because one thing, when you have a bad quarterback, you want to hide him as much as possible. You don't want to make him throw the ball 45 times. You want to hide him. So what do? Run the ball more. And it's not like you're running the ball against a brick wall. He's averaging 4.1 yards per carry. So why did the run game, like, I think Moore wanted to show like how good he is as an offensive coordinator, that he actually just went against the grain and said, you know what? I know what I did for, Philadelphia. I know what type of, quarterback, offensive coordinator I was for like the Cowboys. I want to show you guys, I want to show the world, guess what? I can do it even with Rattler. And you didn't show me anything. All you did was show me is the bro threw 46 times and only had 214 yards to show for it. I definitely would have kept at least running the ball, putting the ball in Ivan Kamara's hand more. He is your best player probably on offense. And the fact of the matter is, he only received the ball twice and he only ran the ball 11 times. So that whole game, he touched the ball 13 times. No way, man. I'm giving him screens. I'm throwing it to him flat on the flat routes. I'm getting the ball into my best player's hands, and for some reason, we just decided to not do that, and that is crazy. So, like I said, if you are a Saints fan, I feel sorry for you because basically, from what I've seen, you guys are going to be in the running for the top 5 pick in the draft this year. And I just imagined that Kellen Moore would have done better of leading this offense as far as game planning and just knowing what you have. A lot of times you just got to know what you have, and when you sit back there and see that your quarterback is Rattler, it doesn't mean throw the ball 46 times in the game. It doesn't. And then my last thing that I said about the Saints game was I feel sorry for veterans like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis. Like, the reason why I feel sorry for them is these guys are mid-30s, right? Sorry. These guys are mid-30 and they have nothing to play for. These are guys who have their own cases to go to the Hall of Fame, and they have nothing to show for it. They're not playing for anything. And when you get older, you know that you're more closer to the end of your career than the beginning of your career. That you want to play for something. 9 times out of 10, when you've played this long, you've gotten your money already. So now you're playing for legacy. You're playing for the postseason. You're playing for something more than just, your paycheck now. You know what I'm saying? You're paying to be, represent the NFC. And they get nothing in return. They go from Drew Brees to Carr, and they lose Carr abruptly. It's not like he was going to retire anytime soon, but he leaves abruptly because of injury. And now you just go straight to Rattler. And it's like, I just feel sorry for you. If you're an older player, you're just watching this year go by, and you're not, and you probably already know there is no postseason success for you. Like, the one thing about football that's so great is that every given Sunday you got a chance. Not the Saints. I'm sorry. Like I said, it was the I don't care bowl. Next we got the Panthers and the Jaguars. So Jacksonville wins 26-10. Panther stats: Bryce Young, 18 for 35, 154, one touchdown, two winners. Chuba Hubbard, 16 for 57, 3.6 average. Leading receiver is McMillan, 5 for 68. Right under that is Chuba Hubbard, 32 yards and one touchdown. Sorry. Hunter Renfrow returns to football, 2 catches, 11 yards. Xavier Legette, 3 for 10, 3.3 average. And then defensive wise, there's an interception by J.C. Horn. And then absolutely nothing else. And then you have the Jaguars, 19 for 31, 178 yards, one touchdown, one entered by Trevor Lawrence. Travis Etienne, 16 for 143, 8.9 average. Tank, 12 yards off 5 carries, 2.4. And then receiving wise, the lead catcher, Strange, 4 catches, 59 yards. Brown, 3 for 52. Travis Hunter, 3 for 33, 5.5. Brian Thomas, 1 catch, 11 yards. That was it. That's crazy. Sack goes to Foysdale. Jordan Lewis also Jordan Lewis has a interception, and Foysdale has an interception. Sorry, not a sack. Smoot has a sack. I think that's that's 2 interceptions and a sack. My immediate takeaways for this game, it's the I don't care bowl part 2. I know the last game was the I don't care bowl, but this was the I don't care bowl number 2, and I'll tell you why. You have 2 quarterbacks who are not good. One is overrated, and the other one basically sat half the season because he was trash last year. So I'm coming in here watching this game for what? Unless you're a Jaguar fan or uh, a Panther fan, this was not a game really worth watching. My immediate reactions with the Panthers was, "Where's Joe Horn?" Just like in Buka, those reports come out of camp that these guys are whooping the opposite teams' defenders' ass. Like, I was hearing about Joe Horn so much in camp, and he's just whooping on everybody that's in front of him, that I'm like, okay, so you don't go get Horn is not playing in this game, yet and still, receivers that are suiting up is Leggett and of course, McMillan has to play. He's the number 1 pick, but Renfro, I was like, bro, where is he at? Like, I wanted to see him play because, like I said, I've been hearing so much good stuff from him out of the camp that I was like, okay, I want to see how he plays. Didn't play. So I don't understand why he's not on the field, especially because this will go into my next topic. Xavier Legette is not a first rounder, bro. Like when and I think that Legette is a wholesome young man. I think that he's a good person. I think that if you want him in your locker room, he's definitely an addition to your locker room. But that being said, if you actually watch this man play, I can't see how you see he's a first rounder. Like, I would rather have Horn out there than Legette. What does Legette do? It's like honestly, I feel like they got him because people seeing how good Debo did. And it's like, man, let's go get our own Debo. And then you go get a guy who has a similar build as Debo, but game does not translate like a Debo. Because again, I don't know. I don't know why what people see in him. And I really don't even know why or what the Panthers see in him. Because for him to be playing in this game and Horn not, when you need that vertical threat, I what's the point? I really don't. Why is he not playing? I think McMillan and Horn on the same field would be a lot better than having McMillan and Legette on the field. Again, what the hell does Legette even do? Last thing I said about the Panthers was Bryce Young is who we think he is. He is what he think he is. He got sat down for a reason because he was not good. And they put him back in, and he played well in the back end. Then he comes in and he plays terrible. I think he is who we think he is. I think that Bryce Young is who. I think Bryce Young is who we think he is. A career backup and going to set short quarterbacks back a few years. And I wrote that down because this is going to be one of them. People are going to reference him when drafting why you should not get a short quarterback. And that's a shame because you cannot decide what your height is, right? You can decide what your weight is, but you cannot decide your height. So there's probably a kid out there who's, shorter than your average quarterbacks, like 6'3" and above. But you've seen, you know what I'm saying, Breeze play the position. And then, Murray came in and was kind of electric. And then you seen who's another short quarterback? Russell Wilson, guys who are not that tall. And, people started giving them more of a chance because even though they're not the quintessential height that everybody wants, the at least the 6'2" and above, the small guy, had a chance because of the guys in front of him. And then you come in and you play like actual crap. They're gonna use that. They're gonna use your height. They're not gonna put out there. Oh yeah, Bryce Young is not as good as we thought he was. Nope. They're gonna use your height to your advantage. They're meant to your disadvantage. And guess what? Your height probably has nothing to do how bad you are. You probably just not that good of a quarterback. Shocker, he went to Alabama. And I already said, when do you see Alabama quarterbacks ever doing good? They just don't. But now, once you open the door, people will put their own spin on it, right? And that's just how this world works. No matter what picture you paint, if you leave your picture out there to be interpreted, somebody's going to interpret it wrong. And Bryce Young, like I said, his height probably has nothing to do with how bad he's playing, but they're going to use that. So now there's a kid out there who's a senior in college or junior and they're thinking about playing quarterback. They're going to be very, very antsy to pick you just because of what Bryce Young did. And Bryce Young, he won the Heisman. So you really are screwed if you don't win the Heisman because they're going to be like, well, he's better than you and he couldn't do it. So why can you do it? And even if you feel like you can, that's just the way how this game is set up, where they just want you to be a certain height or speed or weight to do something because they feel like that's the only way to play the game in a lot of people's minds. So, yeah, I don't think Bryce won't play well at all. For the Jaguar side, Travis Etienne is the only offense. He literally was the only offense. Um, I didn't see anything else. And it's weird because the next things that I have on here, I'm gonna just say them out loud and then I'm gonna just talk about them because they all kind of go together. Travis Etienne is the only offense. Trevor Lawrence is mid. Travis Hunter is mid. Where's Brian Thomas? Brian Thomas came in last year having over 1,000 yards as a rookie and played very, very well. And on some people's lists, made the top 10 at receiver. Now, that number could have been 8, 9, 10, but he was still garnering respect by having 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Blah, say, blah, say, blah, right? That boy, I don't know. Maybe they just love them some Hunter out there because it almost feels like Brian Thomas was a forgotten kid, like he was the redheaded stepchild, because a lot of times they didn't even throw it his way. So it's like you guys are force feeding, Hunter, but the guy who's actually proven to actually be a good receiver just overlooked him completely. So, like I said, Trevor Lawrence is mid. I don't know why Jacksonville decided to pay that man that much money because y'all didn't do nothing but set your franchise back a couple years because that guy is not good. And Travis Hunter, I thought this when he won the Heisman, very mid, especially when it came closer to the draft day, and people were saying like, "Oh yeah, Travis Hunter, man, I rated him highly as a receiver." I'm like, why? He does not look good at receiver at all. He looks like your typical gadget player comes in there, gets a swing pass here or there, and see what you can do. But an actual receiver, I don't see it. I do not see it. And you might call me a hater, and I'm not, but I don't see it. And I've seen a little bit of it. I just don't. I seem kind of right. He's mid, and you guys gave a first. Y'all gave him up for the first round. Y'all could have picked somebody else, but you went ahead and picked this guy strictly pretty much off height. I think he's a better defender than he is a receiver, and but he started more as a defender than he is a. He's started more as a on the offense than he is a defender, and for God, I don't know why, because he's just mid. And I think the only positive thing that I've seen him do is get his haircut. He looked actually decent with his haircut. So, um, but yeah, that was the thoughts I had on that game. Next game will be the Steelers and the Jets. 34-32. Steelers pick up the W. Aaron Rodgers, 22 for 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, no inners. Jalen Warren, 11 off 37, 3.4 average. DK, 4 for 83, 20-yard average. Calvin Austin, 4 for 70, one touchdown. Then you have Ben, who had a touchdown. Jonnu Smith had a touchdown. And the defensive wise, Alex Highsmith has a sack. He's the only sack. I think he had the lone sack. Then you got the Jets, Justin Fields, 16 for 22, 218 and a touchdown. Brees Hall, 19 for 107, 5.6 an average. Justin Fields, 12 for 48, 4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Breland Allen has a touchdown as well. Garrett Wilson, 97 for 95. 7 for 95, 13.6 average, a touchdown. Brees Hall has 2 for 38. Defensive wide, Quincy Williams has a sack. His brother Quentin Williams also has a sack. Will McDonald, 2 sacks. Yeah, and that is my stats for that game. I'm going to say this first. I am so happy for Justin Fields, and I'm so happy for Aaron Rodgers, because these are 2 players that last year were casted off because teams thought they weren't good and they didn't hold any more value. And the reason why I said I just want to just jump in here and say this is because I played, Madden, for like many years. And, one thing that we all can say if you've played Madden is that when you look at the overalls and you look at the X factors, you're like, huh? How did he get a superstar? How did he get an X factor? Why didn't he have a superstar? Why didn't he have an X factor? Right? So I always thought that Aaron Rodgers had a great looking arm and could really pass really well. So I would always check. And I think maybe 1 year he had an X factor. If I'm not mistaken, he had an X factor. But then every year after that, he had like a superstar trait only. And I'm like, and then, when I would play with him, I would always give him the X factor, because I'm like, are you crazy? Like, how do you only have him as a superstar? He's definitely an X factor. And, segueing away from that, people just thought that, oh, well, he don't got it no more. He can't, of course, he can't run like he used to. But Aaron Rodgers still got an arm. He still can pass really well. And I'm glad that people got to see that. And then also for Justin Fields, I watched that man play for the Chicago Bears. It was not his fault why that team collapsed the way they did for the last couple years. For me, it says something in the history of that team. No quarterback has ever thrown for over like 4,000 yards. Hasn't happened. And even in a franchise where championships have been won multiple times, I just don't understand how there's not a quarterback in that franchise who is looked to be one of the all-time greats. I've never heard of him. You know what I'm saying? So even when Justin Fields was there and he had like a bad passing year or something like that, I believe he's the second quarterback ever to run for 1,000 yards. So what I was seeing was that, okay, if I see a quarterback that uses his legs very effectively, why am I sitting back telling this man to take a 3-step, 5-step drop almost every play? I would be utilizing his strengths. And it's so funny because we actually have a guy in the league who runs the ball and is elite. Lamar Jackson. Why have you guys not taken tape from, the Ravens? Sorry, I dropped all my stuff. I don't know why the Ravens, people are not studying the Ravens more when you have a quarterback that can run and he literally plays right now. I don't understand it. Like, you can't sit back and say, oh, well, we don't know how. There's literally a blueprint. Why haven't you guys taken some of the RPOs and the quarterback designed runs that you literally see Lamar Jackson do it, give it to your quarterback and say, hey, do this. It's like you guys don't know what to do when there's literally a player out there doing that. Not to mention, there are coordinators in the NFL who I'm pretty sure will come to the NFL if you pay them decently, that coach Georgia Tech, that coach Navy, that coach Army, that coach who's another team like that? Like Hawaii and Texas Tech, like teams who open it up. But then, like I said, the Georgia Techs, the Armies, the Air Force, just teams who run the option to a science. How come you guys have not integrated that into the NFL or even just to your team when you have a quarterback who has athleticism? I don't understand. I play Madden, and every time I have a quarterback, I don't care if he's my starting quarterback or not. If I have a quarterback and I can use his legs, you know a playbook I'm always using? And this goes for anybody who's probably watching and wants to beat me in Madden. Every time I play with the quarterback who got some type of wheels. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Monroe, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Malik Williams. Well, not Malik Williams. Jaden Daniels. Any quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Any of these quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. Do you know what offensive playbook I always pick? Every time, not like sometimes, every time. The Ravens. Every time. You know why? Because they have a lot of quarterback runs. And I know this in Madden. If I'm sitting there and I'm running effectively with my quarterback, that opens the game up so much more because now when they expect me to run, I'm passing the ball right over their head because I've been running on them so much. Because when your quarterback runs the ball, it now is player on player. It's now one-on-one across the board. What I mean is that when a quarterback hands the ball off, he almost effectively takes himself out the play, right? So if you have 11 on 11 and a quarterback takes himself out of the game effectively or out the play, it is now 1-on-1, 11 on 11. And then when he takes himself out, now you have an extra defender, right? Because now it's 10 on 11. This is the reason why the Wildcat, when it first came out, was so effective, is because now it is not 10 on 11, it is 11 on 11. And all what RPO is, it's Wildcat, but except putting an obvious non-quarterback back there like a Ronnie Brown or a player who doesn't throw the ball. You're doing it with your quarterback. So now it goes from 10 on 11 to 11 on 11. So now you really have to have gap integrity and all this other stuff, because if not, touchdown. How come If you have a running team, specifically a running quarterback, you are not putting that quarterback in the game and have a package for him. I don't understand. I don't understand. There's no reason why Justin Fields was treated the way he was. Because me, in particularly, I think Justin Fields was a good quarterback. Just like I feel like Tim Tebow was a good quarterback in the pros. A lot of y'all say, oh, okay, in college maybe, but in the pros, I think Tim Tebow, because guess what? At the end of the day, he went against the scary defense that was the Steelers and beat you guys in the playoffs. He had the number one rushing offense. And if Tim Tebow was playing in this era, he'd be a better quarterback than he was when he played in the era when they didn't want their quarterbacks running the ball, when they didn't want their quarterbacks doing options. They didn't want that. I think Tim Tebow would be great in this era. He'd be great in this era. But like I said, for Fields to get the flack that he's got, I'm so happy that he got with the Jets, because all you need is someone to believe in you, and all you need is the right person to see your skill set and play around that. Not, oh yeah, you're a running quarterback, cool. Well, I play a under center 3-step drop offense. How is that going to help us? Why even pick me? You seen what I'm good at. You seen why they drafted me. But now you want to play me out of position. You want to, like, stupid. So now it makes me look like I'm trash. But really, I'm not trash. You just don't know how to use me. Fields was not the problem. Because guess what? And I'm going to talk about him later. They took him out, brought in Caleb, Heisman winner, and he ain't done nothing since he been there. So if you thought that he was the problem, you brought in a quarterback who you was like, oh, this guy won the Heisman, and he's Patrick Mahomes like, and he ain't doing nothing there. And they gave him better weapons, better offensive weapons, better O linemen, better D line, better DBs, better coaching staff, and he still can't win over there. There's a bigger problem at play. But like I said, going in about the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers still got it. And like I said, I'm one of the few people who thought he never really never lost it. Anytime I played with the Packers on Madden, I would always, if he did not have an X factor, I gave it to him, because I'm like, there's no way you think that he's not one of the top quarterbacks. Even if you don't think he's number 1 or 2 or 3 anymore, fine. He's top 10. And there's not 10 quarterbacks I'm taking over Aaron Rodgers. I don't care who you are, don't care what you say. There's not 10 quarterbacks I'm taking over Aaron Rodgers, even today. Because even last year, he put up good stats. And guess what? If the stats that he had, which he did, were on another quarterback, which he did, y'all will call him elite, which y'all do. Because if I'm not mistaken, bro had the same kind of stats as Patrick Mahomes last year. And y'all would sit there and glaze Patrick Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers still got it. The next thing that I put on here, Jalen Ramsey and DK brings that Steelers attitude that they have sorely missed. One thing about the Steelers, and if you really know football, you'll agree, the difference between the Raiders and the Steelers of old is that the Steelers win and the Raiders don't. That's literally the only difference. Because if you look at the history of the players that have been on both teams, they're like really rugged, mean, like not like you mean, but like they got that chippiness on them. They talk mess, they talk crap, and just like their identity. If you know the identity of the Steelers, they like, you know, some type people. Got some attitude, some monsters, some hitters over there. People that talk mess to you. People like Joey Porter, Joey Porter Sr. talking mess to you. You know what I'm saying? People like, uh, 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 um, you know, uh, James Harrison, just the attitude, like the dark visor, the killer mentality. Woodley, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys just had an attitude and a presence like the Raiders did, except the Raiders don't win no more. But the whole attitude that the Raiders are built off of is their nastiness as well. You know what I'm saying? And TJ Watt is a great player, but TJ Watt ain't gonna talk a mess to you. Not like that. He ain't on no Joey Porter type. He not on that. But Jalen Ramsey and DK, Jalen Ramsey, DK makes some crucial catches, and Jalen Ramsey makes some crucial plays. Definitely that last tackle to seal the game. They're bringing an attitude to that team that you have not seen in a long time. And I think ultimately, outside of Aaron Rodgers being on the team, I think that attitude is going to take them further too. That attitude that they're instilling on that team, like that grit, that's going to take them far. That's going to take them far. Justin, to the Jet side, I said Justin Fields needs someone to believe in him. That's what he needed, because a lot of people, and I'm going to say their name, at least one of them, Shady McCoy, he really don't like that guy. He does not think that he plays well at all. And I would always watch him when he was on a facility, and he just almost never had anything good to say about him as a player, right? Never had anything good to say about him as a player. And I would always think to myself, you gotta see that he's not the problem. The man's doing what he can with no help. The O-line was trash. And then you got to look at what he did well. The man had 1,000 yards rushing. 1,000 yards. They're not just giving that to quarterbacks. He had 1,000 yards rushing. And when you play a quarterback, when you play any player out of their position, no matter how good you think they are, they're going to be less effective. Go ahead and put Parsons at freaking outside linebacker and have him drop into coverage. Have him play defensive tackle all game. Put Jamar Chase at tight end. Have him block. No. Any player that you take out of their element are not going to do well. When you sit there and you got Justin Fields, and you know for a fact he has legs that can like get him out of trouble, you're not putting him on play action. You're not having him RPO. You're not having you have no quarterback design runs. You're just sitting back, having him throw to death. And then you wonder why it doesn't work. Well, you don't know your players. So I was very happy to see. And honestly, this is one of them games where I would have been happy whoever won. Because, like I said, I think, Aaron Rodgers is probably the most talented quarterback that's ever played the game. And he gets crapped on, even though he shouldn't. And then Justin Fields, I think, is a quarterback that I think that quarterbacks before him, that if they would have gotten a chance, would have been better. And I mean, like I said, people like Tim Tebow. If Tim Tebow would have been in this offense and offensive coordinators actually tailored their game around him, expectations would be different, and he would have had a better career. I think about players like Terrell Pryor, who played for the Raiders and was freaking exciting to watch when he played. And how they did not really tailor their offense around him. And I thought, like, man, this guy, if they tailor the offense, bro can be the next RG3 or even the next Cam Newton. He had the size, he had the speed, he had the arm strength. Didn't have the most talented in the world, but guess what? 9 times out of 10, most quarterbacks that are very, very athletic are not the most accurate. They don't have the most accuracy. But what happens is that because you guys have to watch about the running game, a lot of times they don't need that pinpoint accuracy because you're so focused on them running that you guys run out of your gaps. It's hard. It's easier to sit on routes and sit in space when your quarterback is a statue. But when your quarterback is running left and right and he's going up the field and stuff, guess what you're going to do? You're going to run out your zone. You're going to run out of your stuff. So guess what? Now it's easier to hit your receiver. And I think Terrell Pryor would have been another good quarterback in this league. But when you have an organization who feels that quarterback look and play a certain way, it's harder for you to get your shine and your just due because other people are telling you how to play. So I'm just happy that Justin Fields actually played well to win. And I'm happy that, you know what I'm saying, Glenn sees something in this young man and actually takes his skills and is using his actual skills. I said Breece Hall would be a star in this offense. Again, when Tim Tebow was playing, they had the number one rushing offense in football, and Willis McGahee, was a Pro Bowler. And like I said, they have the number one rushing Russian rushing game in Russian in the game. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. They're the number one Russian offense in the game. Then you go back to Lamar Jackson when he had Mark Ingram, number one rush in the game. Mark Ingram's the Pro Bowler. Same thing. Especially, like I said, when you have a running quarterback, a lot of times the running back has success. So, Lamar Jackson, when he has Derrick Henry, you know what I'm saying? Pro Bowl. Kyler Murray, Connor has been a Pro Bowler. Jaden Daniels, that running back that just played, he had a good game. Jalen Hurts, Saquon, he gets to go off now. You know what I'm saying? Josh Allen, Cook, he's back there killing it. So whenever you have a quarterback that can run the ball, it takes a lot of pressure off the running back because they now have to key on him as well. So it's almost like having two running backs in the backfield. So the way that Justin Fields plays, and if they keep playing him and keeping design runs and play action and RPOs and options, Breece Hall is going to be a star in this offense. He's probably make his first Pro Bowl. I said Garrett Wilson will have a Zay Flowers type of impact and type of year. If you had to ask me what receiver is better out of Zay Flowers and Garrett Wilson, I would almost say they almost like the same type of receiver. Honestly, they're almost like the same type of receiver. Wilson, let's see his years. So Wilson's been in the league for 3 years, in his fourth year now. And, every year he's had 1,000 yards, right? Last year he had 1,104 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then, let's see, Zay Flowers. He had 1,000 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. And so, again, and this is why Zay Flowers became a Pro Bowler last year, is because, again, when the focus is on the run game and then you're running quarterback, that's more attention on him and less doubling you than your receivers, who you guys probably will not say is a top 10 receiver or even a top 12, 14, 15 receiver. The reason why he can make Pro Bowls and look good is because most of the attention is not on him. You know what I'm saying? The attention is not on him. So I feel like because of a Justin Fields, Brees Hall is going to have an impact, a very, very good year, probably his first nod to the Pro Bowl. And I feel like Garrett Wilson is going to have a very, very good year himself. Um, the last thing I had to say about the Jets is, if I had to start any D tackle, if you told me, hey, Almighty, we're giving you this franchise, right? And you could pick any defensive tackle in the game today, who would you take? Easily, with no hesitation, I'm taking Quentin Williams. I feel like Quentin Williams, I feel like he's the best defensive tackle in the game right now. Because who they got a defensive tackle, right? You got Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Derek Brown, Cam Hayward, Matabuki, Vita Vea, Jeffrey Simmons, Jalen Carter. Like, honestly, for me, I feel like Quentin Williams, to me, I feel like he's the best. The only one you maybe have a conversation with me, Jalen Carter. But to me, I feel like Quentin Williams is the best D tackle in football. So if I have to get one D tackle, I'm taking Quentin Williams. I think that man is a monster, and I think he reintroduces the league to himself as probably the best defensive tackle in football. I do. Monday Night Football game. The Bears and the Vikings are next up. And the reason why I'm doing them, even though there's a game before them, because I'm going to save them because I have a lot I want to get off my chest because that's my favorite team. So if you have not heard me say them, you could kind of guess who they are. And I will talk about them right after this Vikings and Bears team. So Vikings, 27-24, Vikings win. JJ McCarthy, 13 for 20, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jordan Mason leads rushing, 15 for 68, 45 average. Aaron Jones, 8 for 23, 2.9 average. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches, 44 yards off 11 average, and 1 touchdown. Aaron Jones, 3 for 44 himself, 14 and 1 touchdown. And Hawkinson, 3 for 15. Defensively, Hargraves has 2 sacks. And that's about it on the defense. Then you go to the Bears. Caleb, 21-35, 210, 1 touchdown, no inners. He leads the team in rushing, 6 for 58, 9.7 average, 1 touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 17 for 53, 3.1 average. DJ Moore, 3 catches, 68 yards. Zacchaeus, 4 for 42. And the Doomsday 6 for 37 in the touchdown. And at the bottom, Luther Burden, the third, 1 for -3. No Sean Wright comes with the interception. Javon Dexter has a sack. Tanoa has a sack. Dayo has a sack. And yeah, that's about it for them. All right. My takeaways from this game, starting with the Vikings, JJ is going to be a good pro. The game is not too big for him. He throws an interception. He shrugs it off. He missed some open throws, but would get better with reps. I think that I kind of knew he was going to be a good pro because, and it's just certain things that I look for in a quarterback, and it's not how much yards you throw for and all this other stuff. I look for composure. I look for leadership, and I look for you to take what the defense gives you. I think everybody gets they look for the big arm talent quarterbacks, and then they miss completely on these quarterbacks that could have actually helped their franchise, but they picked the sexy quarterback with the strong arm, and you're like, all right, and then he turns out to be a Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right. If you have to ask me, who would you rather have, Trevor Lawrence or JJ McCartney? Right now, I'm taking JJ McCartney because I seen how he operated a team full of stars at Michigan. He didn't throw for no crazy amount of yards, but what he did do, he had leadership. He's very composed. He played good in big games, and he had that leadership quality, right? And when I seen him play for there, I was like, yeah, I can see him being a good pro because he's very good at the intangibles, right? And nobody's gonna sit there and say he has the strongest arm because I don't think he has a strong arm, like the strongest of arms. I think he has a good arm, but I don't think it's like a powerful one at all. But I think he has a good arm. But like I said, I like his intangibles. And like I said, he plays his best games when the lights are the brightest. And in the NFL, the lights are always bright. So I honestly thought that he would be a good pro, and I'm happy that like he got to show that. And like I said, I could tell that even when he threw that interception, the bro was not phased because he kept slinging it and he kept playing, and he has some toughness and some grit with him as well. So I liked what I seen with him, and I kind of already knew I was going to see that. Like I said, he did miss some, throws. I paused it on there when I was watching the film. In that touchdown pass to Aaron Jones in the corner, he had a laser beam to the middle of the field that would have been a touchdown, but he threw it to Aaron Jones, and at the end of the day, it was a touchdown still. But I would rather have thrown that laser through the middle where no one was at than to Aaron Jones. But touchdown is there. But like I said, he's basically a rookie because he didn't play his whole rookie year due to injury. So he's basically a rookie. And he did not look like the game was too big for him. So that's the biggest thing I took away from their side of the ball. For the Bears, Caleb Williams looked better. Last year, one of the things, like I said, I look for in my quarterbacks is that the game does not look too big for him. And he's able to play within the offense. And one thing that he even said was that, he didn't understand the playbook or stuff like that. He didn't understand certain things and stuff like that. And you could tell in the way he played. But this game, talking about this game, Caleb looked better. He looked better to me. He used his legs very well. I thought that when he sensed pressure and when he's seeing yards in front of him, he did run well. So that I cannot take away from him. He missed some throws I know that he would want back, but that's all a part of the game. And like I said, he did look better, and he did use his legs to run. And at times he just looked really, really fast. And I was just like, man, has he always been this kind of fast? Like, I never really noticed it, but bro's out there moving. You know what I'm saying? So Um, he played very, very well. And my last thing is Burden, question mark. This guy was supposed to be almost like another Debo Samuel, and one catch for a -3. Like I was definitely wanted to see more of him because again, like I said, I think that the whole reason why they drafted him and even his comparison was to Debo. So I kind of was looking for more of them to use him, and like I said, one for -3 is crazy. So hopefully they use him more in the next game. But if you are a Browns fan, this is a close game that you could have won, but at least your quarterback does not look lost out there. Again, it's only week 1, so anything can change, but at least he does not look lost out there. I can at least give you that. All right. Last game, and the reason why I wanted to hold it last, because this team is my favorite team. And they really, really let me down. Miami Dolphins versus the Indianapolis Colts, 33-8. Tua goes for 14 of 23, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interception. Devon Achane leads the team, 7 carries, 55 yards, 7.9 average. Leading receiver, Tyreek Hill, 4 catches with a large amount of 40 yards. Jalen Waddle, 4 catches, 30 yards. Devon Achane, 20 yards. And it's like 40, 30, 20. It's just, wow. Anyway, Devon Achane, 3 for 20. He at least catches a touchdown. Defensive wise, we had that one early sack by Bradley Chubb, and that is about it. Then we go to the Colts. Who would have known Daniel Jones would have came out and broke records against us and was 22 of 29, had a touchdown, no turnovers. Jonathan Taylor, 8 for 71. Michael Pittman, 6 for 80 in the touchdown. Tyler Warren, 7 for 76. Pierce, 1 for 36. Jonathan Taylor actually catches 3 and actually 27 on the ground. Nick Cross has a sack. Kenyon Moore has a sack. Bynum has an inner. Mbakam has a sack. Latu has a inner. Initial takeaway from this game is Tua is garbage. That is the initial takeaway for the Dolphins that I have. Tua is garbage. I do not know why we signed him to a deal. Help me understand why in this league we are paying quarterbacks who don't deserve to get paid, especially how much they're getting paid. Tua had one good year where he wasn't throwing up gang signs. One. He's not that good. And guess what? He's an Alabama quarterback. Go figure. I don't care what an Alabama quarterback does in college. Once they hit the pros, they just suck. And guess what? I don't play MUT because I don't have the money just to spend on MUT, because that is definitely a pay-to-play type of game. But if I ever wanted to make a Dolphins-themed team Even in a game where speed kills, at quarterback, I am putting Dan Marino. I'm not putting no Tua back there. Even if they didn't have, even if they didn't have Dan Marino, I'm putting Chad Pennington back there. I'm putting Pat White back there. I'm putting anybody back there that ain't Tua. Tua was throwing the ball to I don't know where. I don't know who the hell he was throwing the ball to. I was watching that game and I was baffled to who he was throwing it to. And it's funny, all the attention was to Tyreek Hill and what he said last year and how that kind of affected the team this year. And then he gets on the panel and he's all like, oh, well, he kind of has to earn our respect. Bro is a future Hall of Famer with a Super Bowl ring. He is valid to say what he wants to because you are the problem. You are garbage at quarterback. Horrible. So honestly, this is coming from a Dolphins fan. We need to blow it all up. And I feel bad saying this, but we should trade Tyreek Hill to see what we can get for him. Maybe there'll be somebody that want to give a second up for him, a third or something. Because we not finna win with him because our quarterback is trash. I'd be trying to ship off Tua. Anybody y'all want him? Anybody y'all want him? I'd blow the whole team up. I'd blow it up. Waddle will be my number one, and we just try to figure it out from there. Get rid of Tua. Get rid of Tyreek. And I think our star on defense, we're gonna start with Fitzpatrick. Use him around the field like a Swiss Army knife, kind of like a Tyrann Mathieu. Slot corner this game. Cover the tight end this game. Deep middle this game. But everybody else, I'm pretty much really not sold on. Wilkins not on our team. We have no D tackle. Where's the pressure coming from? I'd get rid of Chubb. Chubb is not bad, but it's another older guy. What are we gonna do with him? Like, no. I'd make my team the youngest team in the NFL. Build through the draft. Free agency. Because that effort that we put out there, horrible. Horrible. And this is coming from a Dolphins fan. Tua's garbage. There is no run game. And not using Tyreek, and he doesn't want to be there. Where's the Debo creativity? When Tyreek first came into the league, he was Debo before Debo was Debo. They will put him at, outside receiver, slot receiver. They would use him in they would use him in the backfield. They would use him on, whip arounds, whatever. Now, Debo took it to a whole nother level with his physicality, but Tyreek was really, really good. And we're supposed to be having an offensive coordinator who can dial it up with the best of them. And honestly, I seen no creativity. You have two of the fastest receivers on the same team. Getting still, there's no creativity. Run game, terrible. Should have kept Mostert. And at this point, I think Gordon needs to get more touches too. And then the only thing I could have said for the Giants was Daniel Jones, change of scenery, looks good, and probably what he needed. And Taylor looks to have a bounce back season. Taylor looks like he's going to reintroduce himself into the top 5 at running back this year. And do I think this will be the same Daniel Jones for the rest of the season? Who knows? But what I do know is that you gave him a good running back, a solid O-line, and probably one of the worst divisions, the AFC South. So he really ain't competing against nobody outside of Stroud, who's missing damn near all his weapons. So he got a chance. But that change of scenery definitely helped him and his confidence. You can definitely see that. And yeah, I think that its game was very crushing because I definitely thought we would have put up a better fight than what we did. And like I said, I think that Tyreek being angry last year, not saying that he's wrong, but that really divided the team and really hit people the wrong way. And honestly, the kind of feeling that I felt was kind of like, you ever been with a girl, y'all in a relationship, and then y'all both say, let's take a break, or let's say y'all break up, right? And let's say y'all break up for a year, right? He goes out dating, she goes out dating, and y'all really can't find love, or y'all had a boyfriend and you had a girlfriend, and y'all was together for like 4, 5, 6 months, and then y'all break it off, and then y'all try to become in a relationship again. Like, that's the kind of feeling that I felt, because it's like you said some things and you did some things, and then you gotta look that person in the face, and then y'all saying, okay, let's make this work. Like, I felt like that was the kind of feeling that I got, because it's like Tyreek at the end of last year was very, very upset. Very, very, mad at how the season turned out. And I would too, because like I said, Tua is garbage. But immediately you're in your feelings and you're emotional, and they stick a camera and a microphone in your face and talk about immediately what are you going to do. You're still mad at what happened. You know what I'm saying? And you say what you say, and now you got to come back and look them same people in the face that they looking at you like, man, you trying to quit on us? You got to look them in the face and be like, no, we good. I didn't mean it. We straight. We can do it. And it just doesn't, that vibe that y'all had before, it's forever changed. So I think now he kind of has to leave, because if not, I feel like Tyreek is going to grow to resent this team, because I feel like he knows he's probably hit the ceiling with this team. Like, he's already probably like they've already hit their ceiling. No one thinks that the Dolphins has a real shot. At best, they'll make the playoffs, and then they'll lose in the first round. And again, I'm a Dolphins fan, so it's not like they have that team where it's like, oh yeah, this team can go all the way. I thought that made way last year, until we just completely lost the last 2 games to the same team. So yeah, in my humblest opinion, if I'd blow the whole team up and start over. I really don't care. Tua gone. Tyreek, I love him as a player, but Give him up, gone, and you'll probably get double for him. O-line got to get better. We definitely need a D tackle. Haven't had a legit D tackle outside of maybe Wilkins and Ndamukong Suh. That's the last time I remember actually having a legitimate D tackle. We spent so much money on pass rushers, and it still seems like we can't get to the quarterback. Last guy I remember we had that could actually get to the quarterback was Cameron Wake. We've paid so much money, drafted, Chubb, still can't get to the quarterback. And then corner is horrible. We had Jalen, had Xavier Rhodes. It's crazy where we went from having damn near 2 star corners to having none and just looking so out of whack everywhere. Bad. But that's going to do it for this show. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm happy I got to tell you guys all about how I feel about each team and, how well they did. I look forward to going through each and every one of you guys' teams and telling you guys what I feel about them. I've going on Madden and seeing if the ratings on your team, is it legit? Is it too high? Is it too low? Is it even? And just doing things with you guys for this season. I'm really pumped for this season. It's my first time really doing something like this. So obviously, camera's not going to be that great. Just the overall of this is me at the bottom and grinding to hopefully it being better in the future. I've seen a lot of people's first videos when they first started out. Everybody ranging from Kai Sanat, iShowSpeed, KSI. I've seen where they started off at, and they stuck with it, and they were able to upgrade things, and they got better and better. And hopefully, I'm on that trajectory. But again, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the stream and the channel. Let me know what you agreed on. Let me know what you disagreed on. Let me know what your thoughts was in the comment section. Don't forget to follow me on all social media: YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, Snapchat. No, it's another one I was kind of forget. Oh, TikTok. Follow me. All of them are the Almighty Lair. THE Almighty ALMIGHTY, and then Lair LAIR. That's on every device. Make sure to subscribe and follow me on all of them so you're up to date on what I got going on, and then the next video and like the next little thing that I got going on. Like I said, I'm trying to do videos daily. I do work, so it's gonna, I'll do what I can. But like I said, I'm pumped to do something different. Of course, I still play video games on the channel, but I'm pumped to do something different, something that I actually like and I love when it comes to football and sports. So hopefully, this is a good year for me, but also us, and hopefully, we make it a good year. I appreciate you guys. Love you, and see you on the next video.